It's hard to begin with the words that I'm about to, but I will still say to all of us, Shabbat Shalom. May this Shabbat bring us all hope and peace. In Judaism, when someone dies before the funeral, there is a period that is known as Aninut. Aninut is an in-between stage when you are overwhelmed with grief, with sadness. You don't know which way to turn. You have anxiety. You even are incredulous. There's a strange law that pertains to people who fit into the category of Aninut. That law is that they are not bound by any positive commandment. It means they can't go out and eat a cheeseburger, that's a negative commandment. But they are not supposed to go to prayer, they're not supposed to say the Kaddish, they're not supposed to put on talit or tefillin, they're not supposed to do anything positive, even kiss the mezuzah or say the Shema. Because the rabbis thought they're just in no emotional or physical space to talk to God. That's how I feel tonight. I'm not in a place to talk to God. But I will tell you that I am in a place to be here with all of you. And that since this terrible news happened, there has been nothing that I have been looking forward to except for coming back to shul and seeing all of you and knowing that we could sit together and pray. That's what Aninut does. I think God can understand if I don't say the words in the Siddur tonight, or you don't either. But I know that we need to be together right now, and I'm glad that we are. This will be a traditional service and a non-traditional service at the very same time. We invite all of you to follow along as Cantor Singer leads us in L'chuna Ranana on page 11.
Lechu neranen al Adonai, nari al tzur yisheinu.
Lechu neranen al Adonai, nari al tzur yisheinu.
Arba'im shana kud bedor va'omar to elevavem vem lo yadu derachai asher nishbati ve'api im yevun el menuchati.
It's written in Mishnah Torah, which was written by Maimonides, that it is a positive Torah commandment to cry out and to sound trumpets in the event of any difficulty that arises which affects our community. It says in the book of Numbers that when we go out to war against any enemy, anyone who attacks us, the first thing we should do is sound the trumpets. Tonight, our heads are ringing and our hearts are reverberating from the trumpets that we have heard and we are hearing. Some of them are a call to gather. Some of them are a call to our troops. And some of them are painful and loud noises that are being spoken by a hateful faction. May we use our voice as a trumpet to unite us, to share facts, to share love, to share morality, and that which is right. On page 13, the cantor leads us in Shiru La Adonai.
Shiru Adonai, shir chadash, shiru Adonai kol haaretz. ישמחו השמיים ותקל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו יעלו שדי, וכל אשר בו אז ירננו כל הצייר, לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים באמונתו.
I want to share a story with you that some of you have already heard me tell. This past Monday, I was invited to attend a clergy breakfast from the Bergen County Sheriff's Department. And the invitation had been standing for a few weeks. It had nothing to do with the violence going on in Israel. And I got to the breakfast in police headquarters in Hackensack, and there were a number of religious leaders from the area, priests and imams and reverends. And there were very few Jews at the event. There were only a table of 4 rabbis. We were sitting in the back next to the table labeled kosher food. And I was sitting next to a Reform rabbi from Teaneck, and next to that Reform rabbi sat an imam who also came from Teaneck, and they knew each other. And so we were at a table of 4 rabbis and 1 imam. And we didn't exchange many words with the imam. We didn't quite know what to say. It was just this past Monday, and all the violence had started to unfold on Saturday, and we were still very raw emotionally. We were coming out of the holiday, and we were just coming back into the world, and we were in this very, very raw place as rabbis and community leaders. And this imam sat next to us, and we didn't exchange many words, but he had the last word at the breakfast. He got to give the closing address. And he went up to the microphone, and he told us the story of how he arrived at that day. And he walked into the room, and he saw all these tables of religious leaders, and he said to himself, what is the place that I need to be today? Where should I sit? And he saw this table of 4 lonely rabbis, and he said, that's exactly the table that I need to be sitting at today. And as he said those words, I got emotional, and I began to tear up in a way I don't usually tear up at these kinds of events. And after he shared those words, I went up to shake his hand and to say thank you for what he had said. And I couldn't get the words out. I was so overcome with emotion. The lumps was so much in my throat, and I so appreciated the gesture that he had made of his little bit of outreach. And that's what we need. We need those kinds of stories now. We need to reach out to one another. We can't let the walls that stand divide us. We need to come together at this time. And so I share that little story of hope with you as we enter into this dark time together. We're going to continue now on page 15.
Adonai malach tagel haaretz. Oafe Adonai sinura, shomer nafshot chasidav, miad reshaim yatzilem. Ozahu al hatzadik uli'ishrei lev simcha, simchu tzadikim b'Adonai ve'odu lezecher kodsho.
When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, and he had just been given the most beautiful and precious gift of the Torah from God, he saw the Israelite people celebrating and worshiping a golden calf. His anger was so intense that he took that gift and he shattered it into thousands of pieces, throwing it against the floor and a rock. Some decry that moment. I celebrate it, and I'll tell you why. Because it showed me that my leaders, my heroes, the biblical figures that we orient towards are real. That they have emotions like you and me. And a lot of this week, I felt like Moses throwing those stones. I have been very angry. I've been angry at so much. I won't rehearse the list with you. But I wanted to tell all of you that those emotions, anger, fear, upset, exhaustion, apathy, frustration, they're all okay to have. All of them. We've heard it said by Mayor Adams and others, we are not okay. And it is okay to not be okay. One day we will be okay. But it is okay to have those feelings, to have that anger, that hurt, that betrayal, that upset, that frustration. It is okay. The cantor continues now, Mizmor, page 17.
מזמור שיר לאדוני, שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשהו שלו ימינו זאת. נערות ימחאו כף יחד, ערים ירננו לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים.
In 1974, Rabbi Irving Yitz Greenberg wrote an article in response to the silence of the world, and in particular, the Catholic and Christian world during the Shoah, the Holocaust. Yitz Greenberg is a Jewish leader and a renowned theologian. And he made a statement that has reverberated for the last 49 years. He said, "Let us offer as a working principle the following. No statement, theological or otherwise, should be made that would be not credible in the presence of burning children." What he's saying is, this is not a time for anyone to be giving moral equivalencies or lectures on ethics. Not when children burn. Not when Holocaust survivors are murdered ruthlessly. This is not the time for such a thing. And for those that want to raise those theological questions, and more importantly, for those whose silence is deafening, when they do find their voice, let us not be lectured on morality and ethics for those who are silent today. The cantor leads us on page 19, Adonai Malach.
אדוני מלאך ירגזו עמים, יושב קרובים יונתן. רובמו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
We learn in the book of Deuteronomy, in the middle of the book, that if there is a person who has been killed in the middle of the field and we don't know who is responsible, that the elders and the judges and the municipality all come together and they collect in a kitty funds to avenge the death of this person. And by avenging it, they offer a meaningful sacrifice and they pray over his loss. The most compelling part of that teaching in Deuteronomy is that it reminds us that we are all responsible. Even when we don't know the person, even when we don't know the culprit, even when we don't know the circumstances, all of us are responsible. None of us are allowed to disengage, to walk away, to separate from the community. We are all responsible. It's a reminder to us in the way that we have responded and will continue to respond of our responsibility to our brothers and sisters and the Jewish people. I invite you all to rise on page 21 as the cantor leads us in Mizmor LeDavid.
Lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la lai Mizmor LeDavid Avul Adonai bnei Elim Avul Adonai kavod va'os ay 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 avul l'Adonai kevod shemo shtachavu l'Adonai be'avat kodesh kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod yirim Adonai al mayim mayim rabim kol Adonai ba'koach ay 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 kol Adonai be'adar kol Adonai shover arazim vayishaber Adonai erazei albanon vayarkidem kemo egel levanon v'sirion kemo beremim kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh ay 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 kol Adonai yachil midbar yachil Adonai midbar kadesh kol Adonai yechol ayalod vayechesof ye'arot uveichalo kulo merkavod Adonai lamabul yashav ay 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 vayeshev Adonai melech leolam Adonai oz le'amo yiten Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom didi lai 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 didi lai 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 hirai ay 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 didi lai 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 ay 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 lai 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 la 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 lai lai la lai 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 la lai lai la.
You may be seated before Lachadodi begins, which you can find on page 23. I want to share with you a story from the Talmud of our people, Tractate Shabbat, page 31a. We learn a story of the famous Rabbi Shammai that once upon a time someone came up to him and said, Rabbi, come and convert me. I'd like to join the Jewish people. And Shammai said to him, no, and pushes him away. However, the great Rabbi Hillel, you all know what a Hillel is, on campuses around America, all around the world, bringing Jews in and helping them to join the Jewish people. The great Rabbi Hillel is the one who said to them, no problem, and quoted to them what all of you may know in other contexts as the golden rule. In Aramaic, it's Delech snei lechavercha lo taved, which means what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. That is the Torah, while the rest of it is all commentary, zilu gmor, go and learn. Friends, the moral and the application for us is clear. As I tell my children, 2 wrongs don't make a right. When others do wrong, we do right. Even in the face of the wrongs of the world, let's remember that we stand up for what is correct and right, that we treat others with dignity and kindness, that when we stand up even for what we believe, we do so in the proper way, and that we hold ourselves with our heads high, and that we do so in the way that our God would want us to. Remember, treat others as you would want to be treated, even amidst our sorrow and rage. We continue now with Lachadodi, page 23.
Lechadodi likat kala penei Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת, ולתהילה אליך דודי. פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלחקי מקור, הברכה ראש מקדם נסוכה סוף. במחשבה תחילה אליך דודי, לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קום יצאי תוך אף רב לך שבט במקבך, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפתח עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלך מקרבה, אל נפשי גאה עלי. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך, קומי אורי אורי אורי, שידברי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה. לך דודי פני שבת נקבלה, לא תבושי ולא תקל, ממה תשתוכחי ומטה מבך יחסו, עניי עמי ונבנתה עיר אל תילה. היי לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, והיו למשיסה שוסייך ורחקו, כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהיך, כמסוס חתן חתן על כלה. היי לך דודי פני שבת נקבלה, ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על ידי איש בן פרצי ונשמחה, אי ונגילה. אי לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני ארם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לה לה לה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Usually at the end of Lachadodi, families that are in the midst of Shiva and mourning enter the congregation. So what do we do if all of us fit into that category? The rabbis answer that by those who are sitting Shiva over an immediate relative when Tisha B'Av happens. On Tisha B'Av, we're all mourning. Walk down the streets of Jerusalem and you'll see people in sackcloth walking in their bare feet, stocking feet, just like mourners. And it says that they pull up a stool, meaning a low seat, and sit next to the mourner. Because today, we are all mourners. So too, as we conclude this Lecha Dodi, on this night, we all, like Tisha B'Av, are mourners. We continue with the Psalm for Shabbat day, followed by the Psalm for Friday, page 27 and 29, respectively.
Mizmor, mizmor, mizmor. Mizmor, 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 shir leyom, 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 leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, mizmor, 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 shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Lai, 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 mizmor, 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 shir leyom ha-Shabbat. טוב להודות עליו. זה לא שרגלים. צדיק אתה מרפרח כארז בלבנון נזכה שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו אדוני מלך להיות לנו מקולות מים רבים, מים רבים אדירים, משברי ים, אדיר במרום אדוני, איי 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 עדותיך נמנו מאוד, לביתך נבא קודש, אדוני לאורך ימים, לי 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 לי, איי לה 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 לי 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 לה 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 לי 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 טירי לי לה 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 לי 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 לה 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 לי לי אדוני לאורך ימים.
We invite all those people who are observing Yurtzeit or in the process of mourning to rise from Mourner's Kaddish on page 30. Yitgadal Vidkadash Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma Divra Kirutei Ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon U'v'yamechon U'v'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael B'agala U'v'zman Kariv Ve'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Barach Le'olam Amaya Amaya. Yitbarach V'ishtabach V'pa'ar V'tromam V'itnasei V'tadar V'taleh V'talal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom birumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
You've probably noticed that the clergy's family is sitting up with us tonight. I did that because I started my words with all of you by saying that we needed to be together. We shouldn't be alone. And this has been a hard week for all of us, and the clergy are not excluded from that. And I know how hard Cantor Singer, Rabbi Ruberg, Rabbi Cohen have worked this week. And I also know it's not just from their job that they've done what they've had to do, but also as passionate Zionists, people with family and friends in Israel. No different for me. So you're sitting with your family and your friends, and we knew tonight that we needed to sit with our family and friends as well. Thank God we have some young clergy with some young kids. And to me, the most beautiful sound in a shul is the sound of children playing and laughing. And to see them frolic on a bima where they are at home and comfortable is what we have strived for. So tonight, we celebrate them. We thank our families for the sacrifices that they make in being married to clergy. And we thank you for sitting with us, for living with us, and for standing by our side. We rise on page 39 for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
You may be seated. We continue silently on 39, and then the cantor will offer closing blessing, and then we'll join together in song in Ahavat Olam.
אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המרעיב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו וקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
We're going to invite Alessandro Starkman and Alex Gabriel to come to the front to help lead us in the Shema. Although this is a very, very heavy time for all of us and a very sad time, we also need to celebrate the joy, and we have the joy of celebrating 2 bat mitzvahs tonight. And of course, this is a night that they're going to remember, and a weekend they'll remember, because it's so unusual that we're here gathering like this when we should be in a time of simcha. And so we're going to use this moment to balance our sorrow with joy. Just want to share a quick story of, we're about to say the Shema, and it was something that Rabbi Akiva said every single morning of his life, and very famously said it also on the last day of his life. It's a sign of strength, it's a sign of unity, it's a prayer that's been with us for the entirety of Judaism, and a declaration of God as one, as our only God. And so we join with Jews all over the world now, not just saying it today, but throughout generations, throughout time, and throughout space. And we're going to join together the declaration of Jewish unity, of Jewish monotheism, Shema Yisrael, page 41.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'otecha v'hayu havarim ha'ele asher nochi metzaveha hayom alevaveha v'shinartam levaneha v'dibarta bam v'shivteha v'veiteha u'veletaha v'dereh u'v'shobeha u'v'kumeha uktartam leot al yadeha v'hayu letatofot b'neineha uktartam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
We'll continue individually at the next 2 paragraphs of the Shema on page 42.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
There's a midrash that's told that when Moses received the Torah from God, that he actually asked to see God's glory and grace. And God says, I'll let you see my back, you can't see my face, and survive. And God took God's hand, covered Moses' eyes, and he saw the back of God's head. And the Midrash explains that he saw the knot of God's tefillin. Well, the rabbis asked the question, we know in our tefillin there are parchment pieces that talk about our love and commitment and devotion to God. What's in God's tefillin? That would be very conceited and self-serving. And the rabbis give a few answers. One that I share with you tonight. One comes from Deuteronomy that says, the arm of God's strength, the Lord gave strength to the Lord's nation. This is a moment when all of us feel gutted and exhausted. But we're also reminded that we will be buoyed, and God will give us strength. God will give strength to our soldiers, and God will give strength to us. It's hard to think about those days, but we know it will come. And we, being made in the image of God, we are going to be God's partners in giving strength to each other and making us stand a little taller breathe a little deeper, focused a little more, and holding each other a little tighter. That will allow us to reach our strength and our potential. We join together with the Chazan and Mi Chamocha, which is found on page 44.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושי פלא, מלכותך ובניך בוקי הים לפני משה צאלי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי יפאר אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
45, cantor singer leads us in Hashkivenu.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
This is a beautiful prayer that is said every night at Mariv. I've said it almost every single day for the last year as I've recited Kaddish. It's a prayer that I don't spend much time thinking about. It says, God, help me to go to bed tonight and wake me up tomorrow. Help me to go to bed tonight and wake me up tomorrow. For 1,300 people, they might have offered that prayer, but it's not fulfilled. And it reminds us of our fragility and our vulnerability. As we close this prayer, let us be reminded of our resolve and our dedication to their memories.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
As best as you can, I want to encourage you to muster deep in your soul, to join together in song with Cantor Singer, with our community, on this Shabbat of Breshit, the Shabbat of creation, and let our voices rise in defiance and in strength as we rise and join together in the words of Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בך היכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמירה במבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמי יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו Amen.
Tragedy, of course, changes our understanding of the world and our relationship to everything, but one thing it changes is our relationship to words. We say the words of the Amidah each and every day, but after something like this happens, something like what we've experienced the last few days, we look for things in different ways. We're going to now say the Amidah that we say each and every day. This is the Shabbat version, of course, and it's a chance for silent prayer and reflection. I encourage you to go through the pages 47 through 52. Find some meaning for yourself. If you don't want to use the book, say the prayers that are in your head. Use this chance as a time for reflection at this difficult, difficult time in the world. The silent Amidah begins on page 47. If you're still completing your Amidah, you can continue at your own pace. We're going to now be seated, page 54 for Kaddish Shalem.
יתגלה ויגלה שמי רבה בעלמא דברכותי וימיך מלכותי וחייכון ויומכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמי יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתעלה, שמי נקודשה בריחו, לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה ושבעתה וחמתה למינן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן, תתקבל צלות ומדון לכל ישראל, קודם עוון ושמיא, ואמרו אמן, יש שלמה במשמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
One of the strangest teachings in all of rabbinic literature is found in the Talmud of Menachot 37a. It talks about a baby that is born with two heads, and the rabbis are trying to decide if that baby gets a split inheritance of its father's wealth upon his demise or a single one. And as you can imagine, amongst rabbis, there is all types of forth and back conversation as to how we count such a being. One rabbi comes up with the idea, if we pour boiling water on one baby's head and the other baby cries, then they are one. But if we pour boiling water on one baby's head and the other baby doesn't cry, then they are separate individuals. It's a pretty gruesome teaching, but it has a parable for us. That parable was elucidated by Rabbi Soloveitchik in his beautiful book, Kol Dodi Dofek. And he says that when a Jew in Morocco feels pain, the Jew in London and Paris should cry. The teaching from Menachot should not be taken literally, but it's a moment that the pain has been inflicted on Jews in Israel, and Jews around the world should cry. And I will bravely and brazenly make another statement, that there are more than Jews suffering tonight. There are other innocent people that are in pain and going through loss. And as Jews and humans, I'm crying, and you should cry too. But I want to be crystal clear. The responsibility, the blame of that blood, of that pain, falls squarely on Hamas. And for all of those that refuse to cry when pain happened to Jewish people, but shed tears when it happens to Palestinian people, We are not part of the same moral group. We are not bound by the same values. And I encourage them to coordinate and recalibrate their moral compass now. This is a time that is unlike any other in my life, and most likely in your lives too. And I will tell you that I have stood proudly in this community with members of all different backgrounds and races when civil rights rose to the surface after the death of George Floyd, and I declared from this bema, Black Lives Matter. And when Asian Americans in this community were targeted, they were targeted because of COVID. We stood on this bema and we said, no way. We will not stand as our neighbors are being persecuted. When a white nationalist walked into a Sikh church in Wisconsin and shot up those worshipers, we said he does not represent our America under the flag he is flying. But I'm taking notice of who's standing next to me today. And let me tell you all something. Should another black man die because someone was racist? Should another Sikh be murdered in their place of prayer? Should another Asian American be targeted for any reason? I promise you, I will stand up again. I will stand shoulder to shoulder again with anyone who fights against that. Why? Because I don't stand up to curry favor or to earn chits. I stand up because of my moral compass and the values that were instilled upon me by my family, by the family that I'm creating, and by the Torah that I study and believe in. And for all of those people that I stood next to at Black Lives Matter rallies, at stopping Asian hate, at protesting Klan members and white nationalism, who are absent now, I am hurt, not only by your absence. I am hurt because all this time I was misled. I thought that our moral compasses were calibrated together, but clearly they weren't. If you are on the Gaza Strip right now, as many different reporters are, they took note to the fact that the soldiers have a different posture. Many of them have their helmets and their flak jackets and their gear on when they were just gathering days before. They're ready for the ground invasion. They are geared up. And I want to tell you all that we have to gear up also. As I read beautifully and painfully in one report that said, my kids go to a Jewish day school in New York, it's pluralistic, and half of the parents aren't sending their kids to school tomorrow. When are we going to stop kidding ourselves that this is about Israel and it's really about anti-Semitism? We too have to gird up for a war. Our young men and women, our cousins, our brothers and sisters are going to be going into the front line in harm's way. And I promise you, they are not only fighting for the Jewish state, they are fighting for the Jewish people wherever they live. They're fighting for you and for me. And we have a job also. And I believe it is threefold. Number one, we must be vigilant against printed media, against broadcast television, against social media streams, and against water cooler pundits that want to twist and distort and ignore facts. We have to arm our flak jackets with facts and data and figures that deny them their propaganda and serve them a hot helping of truth. We cannot sit by. We have to sit at our keyboards and on the telephones and writing letters to university of presidents, writing letters to presidents of broadcast. But all of us need to write letters. And they all don't have to be bad. I have seen just as many fantastic statements from universities that I have seen crappy ones. And we could write the nasty letters to the universities that were tepid and that skirted the issue. And we can condemn them and shake a finger at them. And we can write letters of gratitude and thanks to those who bravely said what needed to be said. Whether on the air, in an article, or representing an institution or an organization. That's the first part of our job. The second part of our job, which is connected to it, is we have to arm ourselves with data and facts. Outside, I presented this little sheet. It's double-sided with two different sides of facts. The first is something I created that I hope will be shared amongst Jewish organizations worldwide, because in the alphabet soup of Jewish organizations, we seem to be disparate with a lot of different streams, and that's okay sometimes. But right now, we must be chanting from the same hymnal. And I believe three statements need to be shared by everyone, for everyone, and I share them with you, whether you're the head of an organization or not. Share them with your friends, put it on social media. Let these be the three talking points. The first is, there is no equivocation or justification that can excuse the brutality and heinous murder of innocent civilians committed by Hamas. Second, Israel has every right, indeed an obligation, to defend itself, its citizens, and to ensure that this terror can never happen again to this country. And lastly, Hamas is responsible for the death and suffering of innocent civilians in Gaza. The Jewish people do not celebrate the plight of Gazans subject to the chokehold and terror of Hamas. The civilized world must hold Hamas responsible for this sad reality. Now, if you put on the news, doesn't matter what channel, the tide is already turning. It's only been a few days, and already we're hearing about the plight of the Palestinians. I saw Richard Engel on the Today Show a baby being pulled from a building. He was dead, covered in soot. And what I wrote to Richard Engel is what I share with you today. The difference here is I don't know one Jew, not one Israeli, that is celebrating that death, that is handing out candy, that is saying that's a good start. I cry for that baby. You cry for that baby. But the responsibility of the death of that baby lies on the hands of the evil, barbaric Hamas. And that must be our mantra. Now, as the tide has turned and empathy is starting to garner for the plight of the Palestinians, and every media outlet I've read so far talks about 1.2 million Gazans who are being told to evacuate but have nowhere to go, I have three quick responses that are also on the sheet that you can share at your water cooler or on your social media feeds. The first, and this is the most important, is that Gaza shares a border with another Muslim country called Egypt, and that the international world should demand that Egypt let them in to Sinai, where the United Nations and all of UNRWA can set up tent cities for them, feed them, nourish them, protect them, and they can be safe. And any other country that had demonstrations in support of the Palestinians and against Israel could easily open their borders to the Palestinians. The fact that they haven't should be no surprise to any of you. This is just as much about the denial of Israel's right to exist as it is about any form, if ever, of statehood. Secondly, Iran funds terror in Gaza, billions of dollars a year. And the United Nations and the international community has given millions upon millions to the support and aid of the Gazan community. Most of those dollars are sitting with the heads of Hamas in six-star hotels, in billion-dollar mansions in Qatar. So ask Tehran and Qatar to find safe passage for the Gazans that they care so deeply about. And thirdly, when the Israeli army drops 50,000 leaflets and sends out broadcasts in warning to evacuate the area for their own safety, and Hamas demands of people not to move under the penalty of death, I ask you to ask those who say this, which one is responsible for war crimes? Which one is the criminal? At night, when it's the darkest, roaches come out. And there have been a lot of roaches that have come out in our moment of darkness. They are a small but fierce group, and they roar so loudly you would think they're a lion, when really they are cowardly mice. The way to make the roaches stay at bay is with light. I believe that we have a responsibility. Just as we gird up by our keyboards and with our pens, we need to demonstrate our Zionism and be proud of our Judaism. I have ordered 3,000 lawn signs that you saw when you walked in that say, "We stand with Israel." I ordered 200 flags just like this one here. I want you to do two things. One, if you're comfortable as a family, take a lawn sign, put it up proudly. I want to blanket Bergen County with our support for Israel and eventually blanket the country with it. And two, I want you to go to local merchants and ask them if they're comfortable putting signs up. I understand the corporations that can't because there's hierarchies. But in all of my years, I have always said when people said, "I'm sorry I didn't come to shul, I'm sorry I can't come this week, I'm sorry I didn't come on the holidays," I always say, I don't take attendance. But I'm telling you all, I'm taking roll call. And I want to know every single merchant that puts up the sign, and I want to know every single merchant that doesn't. This time is different. And we have to be soldiers too. I spent my afternoon in a soft target of tenafly, going to many of the stores and asking them to put up the sign, and most of them did. You need to do the same. There's two more things we have to do. It's not pleasant for me to talk about, especially on Shabbat, but tonight is different. If you're comfortable, make a donation for each sign. They cost a few dollars to the temple. $18 is what we're asking. It only covers our cost of making the sign. The same thing for the flag. If you want to cover more, God bless. It helps. The second thing is, Israel's going to need our financial support. 4 direct places that need it most importantly are the FIDF, who are going to be offering supplies and support to Israel and its soldiers. The second is Hatzalah and Magen David Adom that are offering first aid not only to those on the front lines, but all throughout Israel. People still have heart attacks in Jerusalem while there's a war being fought in Gaza. And lastly, and this will come down very soon, trauma centers that deal with emotional support, especially for young people, but for all ages, who were affected by loss and tragedy. Any dollar that is raised from the temple, any dollar, will go to those causes right now, and not a nickel will go to our overhead. Not a nickel. Any trips that we take, emergency missions, anything we collect will be separate. 100% will go there. I think it would be powerful if our synagogue could bandy together and present an ICU field hospital. I think it would be powerful if our synagogue could bandy together and present 1 or 2 ambulances. I think it would be powerful if our synagogue can bandy together and present 1 or 2 ambucycles. These all have serious price tags. This is a moment for serious challenge and to dig deep in our pockets. The words of the Israeli people have always been hatikva, the hope. Evie, our daughter, who is at Emory University, has a dear friend that she was very close with this summer. He was missing for 3 days. And Dory and I said, well, honey, hopefully they'll find him. And she said, no, he's dead. He said, baby, you have to have hope. And she said to us, Mommy, Daddy, I can't have hope. It hurts too much when that hope is taken away. On Wednesday, her friend was identified. She is one of the few that is blessed to know that he's been identified, that he wasn't captured or his whereabouts unknown. But that piece about losing that hope, it leveled me, because that has always buoyed our people. Somehow or another, even in this pitch blackness, we have to find some hope. I believe that the hope, as kitschy as that sounds, is in the white of everyone's eyes. That when we can look into them and see and feel their humanity, that hope will lift us higher, remind us of our resolve, and task us with our orders forward. May we find that hope. May we please find that hope. Please rise as I invite the clergy and their families to open the Ark on page 56 for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגואלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים, ואלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתנו אינו.
You may be seated. v'ne'emar.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Usually on Friday nights, we don't read the names of those who are commemorating yortzites. But tonight will be different. Today, 265 people, I believe that's the number, have been identified and verified as dead, and their information has been shared with their families, and that information has been shared with the public. So tonight I've asked the officers that are with us and our clergy to list the names of those that died. Some died in service, wearing a uniform of the Israeli Defense Forces. Some died wearing police uniforms. Some died with shoes on, running away, and some died barefoot at a music festival. But all of them died for being in Israel. Jonathan Steinberg,
Zahar Mushlef.
give this to Chen Buchris,
Amir Skoury.
Adir Ovadi,
Yotam Ben Basat.
Aryeh Shlomo Zering.
Lieutenant Or Moses.
Yiftach Yaabetz,
Menashe Yoav Maliev.
Or Yosef Ran.
Adi Gorman.
Ido Edri,
Adar Ben Simon.
Yanai Kaminka.
Amir Fisher.
Ofer Tzioni,
Amri Niv Fierstein.
Yuval Ben Yaakov.
Ido Harush.
Or Asto,
Afik Rosenthal.
עדן אלון לוי,
Itai El Marciano.
Dvir Lisha,
Guy Bazak.
Netanel Yang.
Adi Gorman.
Neria Aharon Nagiri,
Nama Buni.
Roy Levy.
Yonatan Sur.
Avraham Hovlavshvili,
Ido Yiv Yosha.
Omri Michaeli.
Aryeh Shlomo Sering.
Shoham Tomer,
Itai Moore.
רון שלום,
Tomar Barak.
Vitali Shipkevich,
Tomer Dolev.
Imri Belkin.
Ile Gamzu.
Ohad Cohen,
Itai El Marciano.
Itamar Aish.
Ori Loker.
Yaron Sohar.
Adir Tahar.
Idan Raz.
Lior Azizov.
Rui Perry,
Shir Beaton.
אושר שמיר,
Shir Shlomo.
Benjamin Lev,
Ophir Davidian.
Lior Levy.
Tal Grushka.
Amir Skoury,
Ariel Ben Moshe.
Shiloh Cohen.
Shoham Tomer.
Ido Rosenthal,
Aharon Farash.
Roi Weiser.
Adir Gori.
Guy Simchi,
Shira Shochat.
אור מזרחי,
Ariel Eliyahu.
Danit Cohen,
Amit Geta.
Itamar Ayish.
Eli Ginsberg.
Peleg Salem,
Ido Yisrael Shani.
רוני חפי,
Roni Nagari.
David Chaim,
Raz Peretz.
Itai Cohen.
Nitai Omer.
Alina Pravosaduva,
Eden Namiri.
Dekel Swissa.
Yonatan Guten.
Orel Moshe,
Yosef Itamar Berothim.
Shager Taka.
Nav Eliezer Lex.
Alexander Mosley.
Tal Levy.
Ben Rubenstein.
Yaron Urishai.
Rotem Dushi.
Yakir Levy.
Daniel Moshe Danino.
Yaad Ben Yaakov.
Max Ravinvov.
Adir Tahar.
Amit Sur.
Eli Bar Sadeh,
Lior Levy.
Eli Ezer.
Yosef Malaki Giadalia.
Ram Meir Batito.
Adir Tzur.
Amir Levy.
Oriel Segal.
Segev Schwartz.
Evyatar Ochayon.
Yoval Gabai.
Amichai Yaakov Vaninu.
Ophir Testa.
David Retner.
Jonathan Golan.
Hadar Kama,
Hallel Shmuel Sadan.
Yogev Aharon.
Itai Namias.
Ariel Ohana.
Avi Tzidon.
David Ben Dayan.
Yaron Morris Dayan.
Eliran Abargil.
Maor Shalom.
Amir Wax.
Ili Nachman.
Ido Idiri.
Shalom Tzaban.
Evgeny Galsky.
Arik Yehuda Marciano,
Amit Wax.
Yigael Wax.
Adi Baharav.
Tal Karen.
Oren Stern.
Ruti Akuni.
Aria Akuni.
Or Akuni,
Shlomi Molcho.
Nurit Berger.
Hevek Siegel.
Marina Alamagor.
Gil Taase.
Danny Wabak.
Aharon Haimov.
Hana Ben Artzi.
Omri Ram.
Tsur Sadai.
Avid Halevi.
Talia Marcel.
Orit Lipstein.
Elchanan Kalmasan.
Yehonatan Hashbi.
Fatima Al-Tilakat.
Malik Ibrahim Al Karan.
Jawad Ibrahim Al-Karan.
Amin Akal Akaran.
Mahmoud Diab Al-Karan.
Faiza Abu Sabak.
Meir Zuhu Abu Sabak,
Dalia Abu Madian.
Sami Gergui.
Odaya Suisa.
Dolev Suisa.
Shani Luke.
Yosef Tor.
Eli Nachman.
Eliad Ochayan.
Sivan Al Kabetz.
Naor Hasidim.
Lil Itach.
Nir Nikita Popov.
Tal Ayalan.
Dvir Karp.
Amit Gabe.
Yuval Gabay.
Febir Asaf.
Varda Haramati.
Shlomi Matthias.
Shachar Martias.
Meyer El Harar.
Liz El Harar,
Roland Sultan.
Ronit Sultan.
Moshe Riedler.
Petro Busco.
Tehila Katabi.
Chaim Katzman.
Tom Gudu.
Gina Smiatis.
Ofer Ron.
Menuha Huladi.
Sa'ar Margolins.
E.T. Zak.
Sagi Zak.
Ofik Azari.
Yaron Shachar,
Bernard Cohen.
Ophir Erez.
Reuven Shishportish.
Aviad Cohen.
Yedidia Raziel.
Dan Azulin.
Chen Ben Avi,
Dor Nachum.
Tal Maman.
Gil Avital.
Lior Ben Yaakov.
Itai Nachmias.
Yehuda Kader.
Ido Fleischer.
Dudi Turgaman.
Rudy Skrisavsky.
Stam Kimchi.
Ge'ar Davidov.
Yitzhak Bazooka.
Vadim Blich.
Martin Kazmachakis.
Shlomo Moshe El.
Sim Lugasi.
Amin Ohonadav.
Stas Shankman.
Andrei Poshevi.
Alexei Shemakalov.
Amir Abarjil.
Chen Nahamis.
Roman Gendel.
Roni Abu Haron.
Adir Shlomo.
Yigal Iluz.
Dennis Belkin.
Bar Sivan.
Alon Berard.
Alexei Borodovsky.
Vitaly Karsik.
Alexei Pozniakov.
Malik Karim.
Yorai Eliyahu Cohen.
Devorah Avram.
Dror Elton.
Shlomo Karsaniski.
Elior Yifrach.
Elior Yafrach. Michael Lizmin.
Michael Lizmi.
Shea El Nafo.
Aliona Astafniko.
Ravit Hana Asayag.
Avraham Henkin.
Uriel Abraham.
Eliyahu Michael Harush. I invite all of you to join us in Kaddish on 58 for these souls and the souls that we remember. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach Yirutei v'yamlich malchutei V'chayechon v'yomechon Hayei dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Leomei Amaya Yiparach V'yishtabach Yipoar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitala Shemei Dekudesha Richu Le'ela Minkol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma Yimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemai V'chaim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Mimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. We're going to remain standing. As the service concludes to your right, there are the lawn signs that I told you about. You can make a donation tonight. I know it's Shabbat, but you can make the donation tonight. You can do it on our website later. You can do it after Shabbat. We trust you. And if we run out of lawn signs and we need more, we'll get them. But we hope that you will take them along with the talking points. But we wanted to conclude tonight with all the clergy and our officers that are here and all of you by turning to page 448. 448, and let us turn towards the flag of Israel and towards the east. And let us join together in the words of Hatikva, which are written in Hebrew and English in transliteration. And let us all sing in unison of our hope.
Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi obia ulfatei misrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים.
May a Shabbat of peace be upon all of us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.